their babies crying. I watched them grow, and much more kids than I would give them. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world to play to be by. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Oh, yes, you got myself.
Good morning. Well, in case you haven't figured out already, this is not going to be your usual memorial service or celebration of life service. It's going to be a true celebration of the life of Edward M. O'Keefe. So my name's Mary Masters. I'm the minister here, and I was especially blessed to follow on the heels of Ed Ramella, who had served as our interim ministers before I came. I want to welcome all of you. There are a few more seats. If you're just coming in, there's some seats off to the wall. And we have some additional folding chairs we can bring up from downstairs. So we want everybody to be able to be comfortable during the service. So, first, we want to also introduce our musicians, and Louis Custodia is going to introduce the Barroom Buzzards.
Okay, folks, we were asked to come and participate in the celebration of Ed's life. We're very, very thankful for that. My name is Lou Custodia. I'm the leader of the Barroom Buzzards. Right here we have Harry Packelman on reeds. On the banjo, George Kane. Tuba,
allegedly,
Paul Zapolowski.
So, welcome.
Thank you.
And I just want to say especially welcome home to Ramella. And it's such an honor to be doing this service, that you've been such an important part of our church, both of you, for so long. Your loving presence has blessed us in many ways. And Ed was a former board president, if you don't know, and Ed, Ramella, and Steve started our prayer chaplain program that is still going strong 20 years later, and many other programs and activities. So let us begin with prayer. We like to begin everything in unity with prayer. If you'll join me in taking a moment as we center our time and attention on this time and place. We focus our attention on the presence of God. Today is a sacred day in our hearts, and we ask God's blessing on our gathering here today to honor the life of Ed O'Keefe and support his family and loved ones during this time of transition. We give thanks for the precious gifts of peace and acceptance. We give thanks for the sure and certain knowledge that Ed is in your care, dear loving God, as he continues on his eternal journey. We have been blessed by our time of knowing Edward, and we release him to your care, grateful for our memories of his life well lived. Your light surrounds us, your love enfolds us, your power protects us, and your presence watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Amen. So, and maybe just as a reminder, if you have a cell phone, if you wouldn't mind putting it on silence mode or vibrate so that we can all be really fully present for the sharing here today. So we're going to have a contemporary reading and a reading of ancient wisdom. And the first reading is a contemporary reading that Ramella wanted to share based on or from a book called The Next Place. And I see that there are a few more people coming in. Can we bring up some of the folding chairs from downstairs? Oh, there's a whole row of seats right here. So, Karen and Betsy, if others come in, guide them over to this section here. Okay. So, Ramella, please share with us this reading.
This is a favorite book of ours, and Ed and I presented this to many people, and we always had a number of copies sitting around, and I thought it was so appropriate I wanted to share it with you because it really said how we felt about the next place. The next place that I go will be as peaceful and familiar as a sleepy summer Sunday and a sweet, untroubled mind. And yet, it won't be like any other place I've ever been to, or seen, or any dreamed of in the place I leave behind. I won't know where I'm going, and I won't know where I've been. As I tumble through the always and look back where I've been. As I tumble through the always and look back toward when I'll glide beyond the rainbows, I'll drift above the sky, I'll fly into the wonder without ever wondering why. I won't remember getting there, somehow I'll just arrive. But I'll know that I belong there. And I'll feel much more alive than I've ever felt before. I will be absolutely free of the things that I held on to that were holding on to me. The next place I go will be so quiet and still that the whispered song of sweet belonging will rise up to fill the light glistening sky with joyful silence and with unheard harmonies of music made by no one playing, like a hush upon a breeze. There will be no room for darkness in that place of living light, where an ever-dawning morning pushes back the dying night. The very air will fill with brilliance as the brightly shining sun, and the moon and 500,000 stars are married into one. The next place I go won't really be a place at all. There won't be any seasons, winter, summer, spring, or fall, nor a Monday, nor a Friday, nor December or July. And the seconds will be standing still while the hours hurry by. I will not be a boy or a girl, a woman or a man. I will simply be just simply me. No worse or better than. My skin will not be dark or light. I won't be fat or tall. The body I once lived in won't be part of me at all. I will finally be perfect. I will be without a flaw. I will never make one more mistake or break the smallest law. And the me that was impatient or was angry or unkind will simply be a memory, the me I left behind. I will travel empty-handed. There is not a single thing I have collected in my life that I would ever want to bring except the love of those who loved me and the warmth of those who cared, the happiness and the memories and the magic that we shared. Though I will know the joy of solitude, I'll never be alone. I'll be embraced by all the family and friends I've ever known. Although I might not see their faces, all our hearts will be as one, and the circle of our spirits will shine brighter than the sun. I will cherish all the friendships I was fortunate to find, all the love and all the laughter in the place I leave behind. All these good things will go with me. They will make my spirit glow, and that light will shine forever in the next place that I go.
Thank you, Ramella. That was so beautiful. And that's a children's book. She said they have shared with many, many people when they've gone through this experience of losing a loved one. So, contemporary wisdom and ancient wisdom. And Ramella asked that we read the 21st Psalm. Put one passage of it on our screen, but I'll read the whole psalm for us now. And in Unity, we like to, when we first open the Bible, to always affirm, let there be light. May there be illumination in our soul when we hear these words. A Song of Ascents, Psalm 121. I lift up my eyes to the hills. From where will my help come? My help comes from the Lord who made heaven and earth. He will not let your foot be moved. He who keeps you will not slumber. He who keeps Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is your keeper. The Lord is your shade at your right hand. The sun shall not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will keep you from all evil. He will keep your life. The Lord will keep your going out and your coming in from this time on and forevermore. For the sake of my relatives and friends, I will say, peace be within you. We could turn to each other and just say that now to each other. Peace be within you. Peace be within you.
Peace, brother.
And I like to think that there's nothing more sacred than a person's individual life journey. The story of their lives, the stories of stories even. And so we are blessed today to have 5 family members who are going to share some remembrances of Ed. And the first one is Joseph O'Keefe, his oldest son.
Hello and welcome. I'm never at a loss for words. I don't wear suits. I wore long pants because I told Ramella I was going to wear shorts. I thought she was going to have the big one. So it's the first time I've worn long pants in a while. But my father was very interesting when I was a kid. He took me to see the Niagara Falls Pirates. We met Jackie Robinson. I'm not a sports fan, but among other things, we met Eric Von Daniken from Chariots of the Gods, and he used to take me to strange speeches and stuff, and I think I was frequently a prop for, oh, I don't like this, it's time to go, you know. But it instilled in me a desire to explore the world and see new things, because growing up in Niagara Falls, all year round you hear people with foreign voices and stuff. So at 18, I joined the Navy and off to see the world. But my father was the only person that ever visited me when I lived in California. He made a trip to UCSD La Jolla, strangely enough, for a speech or something, and came aboard my ship and didn't realize how many steps and stairs there were. So I was afraid he was going to have a heart attack or something. You never know, you know. And then Ramella and my father used to visit at the Cape House quite often, many years ago. And very interesting. I think my father instilled in me a bit of wanting question everything. He's always searching for something. I hope he found it. I'm sure he did, but many different directions, many different people, and just an interesting life. We should all be so lucky and have an interesting life like that. And I just want to say hello to all my relatives, uncles, aunts that I haven't seen in 50 years or so, and friends. And it's good to be back in Niagara Falls, although Niagara Falls is kind of hurting these days, but it is what it is. I want to thank you all for coming here, and have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph. And now I believe it's the second son, Mark O'Keefe.
Good morning, everybody. I am the second son. I'm the fifth at 6 children. And I'd like Joe, I want to thank everyone for coming today. Third son, fifth of 6 children. Well, those can be correct.
I was about to yell at you.
That's okay. But anyways, I'm here. For those who knew Ed, he was quite a writer, quite a thinker, quite a reader, and he wrote several poems, that a couple of which were going to be read today by myself and Nicole. And so this is one of the poems he wanted read at this occasion. How best can I serve? What would you have me do, Lord? What is my purpose? How best can I serve you? Do you wish me to climb mountains or remove them by my faith? Shall I be tortured for thy name? Give my body to be burned? Bring justice to the nations? Hurl fire and brimstone upon the wicked? Join Mother Teresa to bind the sickening scabs of the wretched? Once again, accept the call to ministry? How shall I show that I love you? And the voice replied, my essence is to give, yours to receive. My beauty is to be bountiful, to lavish limitless love. By accepting my gifts, you allow me to be fully God as you become fully creature. You honor me by being at every moment needy. Serve me by allowing me to love you to the core of you. Make of your soul a furnace of your love, and so fulfill me.
Thank you, Mark. And now Patrick O'Keefe, I think that's younger brother. Is that right?
Younger brother is getting pretty old. You did ask for ancient wisdom. Might get a little. Romella asked me to make a few remarks, so I prepared a few things. What time is dinner? Maybe I'll skip that. So speak up.
Yeah, speak into the microphone there.
Okay. I have a pretty good voice.
Okay.
We'll see. When I was a child, a long time ago, in this snowy north country of Western New York, I remember our mother telling us, I don't know who was there then, that each snowflake was one of a kind. No two alike. So I spent a little time then trying to prove her wrong, which I did most of my life, but it never worked. And I had a small mirror and I used to catch snowflakes. And sure enough, after a week of doing that, I couldn't find two alike. So she was right. Then a few years ago, another stage of my life, I was a retired Florida volunteer, and I took a coastal naturalist course. And there I heard that there are no two seashells that were identical in the myriad thousands of types that existed in the world. So for 6 years as a volunteer at a place called Cayo Costa State Park and 7 miles of undisturbed beaches on the Gulf, I walked around looking for seashells that might be connected. I couldn't find any. And there are a lot of seashells in the world. Mother, with her 8th grade education, called the phenomenal diversity of living things one of the wonders of creation. She claimed that there were no two human beings that were alike. Even twins had differences, sometimes subtle. But that God wanted us to appreciate and respect the differences in everybody and everything. Edward was as unique a snowflake that ever fell. He was as beautiful as a seashell as can be found anywhere in the world. He was my brother. But just a little backdrop here, Leo and Leona O'Keefe, whose picture one time I saw up here for a while, our parents, had 2 families. The first 5, they like to call themselves the Fabulous 5. Leo Jr., Elizabeth, you do know that Queen Elizabeth was named after my sister. James, Raymond, and Edward. That was enough for a while. Dad finally figured out what he was doing wrong, and my devout and devoted Catholic parents practiced the science of rhythm for several years. They were pretty successful, but they were trying to slow down the Whitney Avenue population explosion. According to Mom, a series of New Year's parties occurred to me that they altered the family plan. And the second family was soon arriving. Mary Louise, Robert, Patrick were soon to enter the world. Now, just as an aside, when I say wild, you have to know that the 2 traditions that prevailed on New Year's. The first was our reserved and non-smoking religious mother would at midnight on New Year's Eve crawl under a table and smoke a cigarette. At the same time, our stoic, quiet father would descend the stairs dressed only in a makeshift diaper and New Year's hat. So you can see what could happen. Remember this. I'm digressing. In any event, then there were 8. And of course, Edward, in a way, suffered from being the baby of the first family. Leo, the leader, Betty, the vibrant beauty, who looked like the queen, by the way, when she was young. Jim, declared by the Niagara Gazette as the most beautiful baby in the county. And Raymond was a celebrated actor, and all these people preceded Edward. So he decided he had to declare his independence. And he found a saxophone somewhere. Mom and Dad couldn't afford music lessons. So Ed took it upon himself wherever he could, the garage, the bedroom, the car, the attic, and he tried to play and become a great sax player. Now, most people believe he had a great spiritual awakening around this time, an epiphany, and he decided to leave home after 10th grade and study to become a priest. Now, some of us now believe, in retrospect, that his constant playing was so bad that he was strongly encouraged to leave by everyone in the family. Now, I'm told that the only one that really liked his playing was Dad. And of course, Dad was virtually deaf. By the way, this is not to say that all O'Keefes, and I'm a bunch of them here, have hearing problems because of Ed and sax. There's no scientific evidence, I looked into it on my phone, to support transcendental heredity hearing loss due to saxophones or dissonance. So here we have a quiet, thoughtful young man in a silent, spiritual, and physically beautiful place in Derby, New York, where he studied classical literature, music, history, philosophy, world religions, and he had as a backdrop the haunting music of the Gregorian chant, which he loved. And then in the evening, he could go and see those magnificent sunsets over Lake Erie. And he did. Now, between those solid family values and the culture and this truly unique internal reflection, which was over many years, a great man was shaped. A man for all seasons. One of his favorite plays. Anyway, he was a dedicated and responsible son, husband, father, grandfather, and brother. And we all know a mother's love is seldom, of course, questioned. It's automatic. The father's love is somewhat different, sometimes inscrutable. George Strait, the country singer, sang to his wayward child, and I'm not going to sing, it's okay. Let me tell you a secret about a father's love. You see, daddies don't just love their children now and then. It's a love without end, amen. It's a love without end, amen. Khalil Gibran, one of Ed's favorite authors, said, work is love made visible. If you had a hardworking father or mother, you were seeing love in action. Ed was a master teacher, a humanist and social activist, a consistent fighter against fear and depression, a highly effective administrator and organizer, a lover of nature and champion of the environment, a sought-after public speaker, a lifelong learner, a spiritual and intellectual explorer, a poet, scholar and author, a lover of great music and art, and musicians and artists. He was a therapist, a minister, a healer, an excellent singer and actor. Ed was an enlightened humorist, a person of great warmth, with, I'll call it a leprechaunish twinkle in the eye. And always, when we think of him, I can't help but smile. And he was like that into his last days. He had that look and smile and saw the humor in the world, I guess. So let me end what I'm calling this song to my brother with a verse that was a favorite of his, particularly when he performed his many eulogies. He gave eulogies all over Western New York and probably down your way too. If a teacher died or somebody nearby, he was called upon to give a eulogy. And his must better than any I've heard. Anyway, he liked a few verses from the prophet by Khalil Gibran. For what is it to die but to stand naked in the wind and to melt into the sun? And what's in it to need the glasses for this one. It's my writing. And what is it to cease breathing, but to free the breath from its restless tides, that it may rise and expand and seek God unencumbered. Bon voyage, Brother Edward. Can I get an amen? Amen. A little louder, please. Amen. All right, thank you. You want to hear the rest of it?
Well, I think Ed would have been very proud of that eulogy and all the family members. And now I'd like to call on Nicole Ostrihon, one of the granddaughters, to share.
Hi everyone, thanks for being here. I've got to follow that, so thanks. Appreciate that. I was going to be reading one of Grandpa's poems. It's called The Next Lesson. The next lesson mankind is to learn is that we are one, that separation is only an illusion. The time for the manifestation of unity is coming, indeed is already upon us. The unlikely angels, the divine messengers who bring this truth to us, are the great scholars of the recent past, and some still living, who courageously broke the old molds, the outdated paradigms of yesterday. Discoverers and adventurous theorists in nuclear physics, psychology, and related sciences have verified the ancient wisdom of mystical and occult traditions. The angelic guides and lovers of the world are revealing the awe-inspiring implications of these scientific advances to individual men and women. The children, of course, already know. One by one and two by two, we are being given experiences in living the oneness evidences of reality hitherto unseen. Amid unprecedented changes, insights abound that we are no longer justified in perceiving ourselves as merely ourselves, as alone in the universe. What I do affects you. What I feel and think affects the whole world and all its inhabitants. The universe is a giant mobile. Yeah. Suspended in space. The slightest development anywhere creates the need for minute adjustments throughout the whole. The consciousness of the race is expanding at an unprecedented rate. As each of us develops the portion of mind that we are, the leaven is spread with the speed of light to the other portions, and all immediately perceive differently. It was always so. The difference now is that we know this truth. The greatness of this advance lies in the new consciousness of our individual power and dignity. We understand better what it means to have been created in the image and likeness of God. Like Father, Mother, God, we are creators. And okay.
Thank you, Nicole. It's absolutely beautiful. And now Robert O'Keefe, one more brother.
You thought my brother was bad with all of his notes. Some sibling rivalry here, I'm going to be. We did not prepare together for this, so it's different, but I always start by scaring people about how long I'm going to speak, just like he did. And don't worry, I don't plan on speaking more than an hour and a half. Ed had a special way of teaching, and I think he hit a lot of people with it. Not hit is the wrong word, but he just had a way of teaching and helping us see the beauty that surrounds us every day. That maybe if we hadn't talked to him or he hadn't affected our lives, really take for granted and not think about it. I remember visiting Ed and Romella in their beautiful home in Buffalo. I don't think it was very far from here. And during this time, Ed took me out to the grounds surrounding their home. And he told me of the energy fields and movements that were constantly sustaining and adapting life on our planet. And in his front yard. And he brought me to a large, magnificent tree in his yard and showed me through its beauty all the wonderful energy the tree was expressing. Of course, I could see a beautiful tree, but when I listened to his explanations, a whole new world opened. His mind seemed completely attuned to that subtle energy, the subtle energy flow within the tree. And he was telling me which areas of energy, the energy flow was strongest, and which parts of the tree where the energy flow had been blocked by something. And of course, that part of the tree looked less vibrant and less healthy. So using the attuned energy in his own mind, and with the help of a dowsing rod, he was helping to guide the strong energy into the less vibrant areas of the tree. And I think he did this with his students, with his colleagues, with his family as well. There was something about his presentation, something about his style and delivery that helped me appreciate the essence of this energy that passes through everything that exists. And this opened a portal of understanding in my own mind. And it is, of course, in our own selves where we ultimately experience the beauty of energy and of life that the universe and God offers us. Now, in telling this story, I'm thinking of all of the people, myself included, his children, his students, his colleagues, who Ed has guided in some way to help fashion the energies of their lives into productive and meaningful, happy lives. He was just teaching us all this message and the beauty of life around us. I want to add something that just happened last night to these remarks. I was asking Carol and Tom, married his son Tom, about the area around Tom's house in Flagstaff that was recently destroyed by a forest fire. Not his house, but the forest around his house. You may have read about it. It's one of the big fires out west in Arizona. And I asked her, how's the land recovering, knowing that the trees were all destroyed? And I expected her to moan and groan about the terrible tragedy. But here's what she said. You know, I have never seen so many flowers, so many varieties, and intensely beautiful wild flowers, and they're growing up everywhere. And that just sort of solidified the point I'm trying to make, and Ed was trying to make. The earth cannot help but express its energy. Denied the opportunity to sustain a beautiful forest, now it's expressing life like this through the flowers. This positive energy just cannot help but give and give some more, which is what Ed did. And now his energy is being transformed to a new, higher level. Thank you. Oh, no problem. But no, she's got it locked down.
Thank you. Oh boy, Robert, that was beautiful too. And each one of you certainly are carriers of the energy and the light and the spirit that is as all of us are, having been touched at a deep level by Ed's life. And now we'll have a song. Our friends, the Barber Buzzards, are going to sing a song of the saints of God. And the words are in your bulletin, so we encourage you to sing along, that this is for all of us. And the words will be up on the screen.
1, 2, 3.
Thank you for bringing that to us from a new song maybe for some of us, but it's a wonderful song. So I want to offer a little bit of reflections about our purpose here today. You know, our purpose is to celebrate Ed's life. And also to remember our dearly beloved Ed. There we go. Thank you. But we're here to reaffirm our faith in eternal life as we bless Ed on his eternal journey in living. And, you know, really it's my prayer that from this time forward, we may never think of Ed as limited in any way by time or form, but always as a living soul continuing on the pathway of life, ever in the wise and loving care of God. You know, I'd like to say a few words about that word remembrance. What do we mean when we say remember someone? You know, remember can mean remembering our experiences with them, and funny times and heart-wrenching times and warm times and all the stories we tell, our shared experiences. But also it's remembering the spiritual truth about the person, that we are spiritual beings having a living experience. And we can also think about the word in two parts: to remember, to bring together, to create wholeness, that there are all the aspects of our lives are like members, pieces of a puzzle. But when we forgive, when we let go, when we remember, when we hold each other and share these stories, we bring together a sense of wholeness and acceptance. It helps me, I find, to remember that the word that Jesus used for death actually translates to mean not here, but appearing elsewhere. You know, and I like to think, gee, I wrote that book, take it to the top. I'd like to think that right now he's living that book. You know, that he has an elevated view, he's seeing things from the top, a higher perspective and consciousness, and he's loving every minute of it. You know, when death occurs, sometimes people wonder, what happens? What's it all about? And I know Ramella shared with me that Ed was always searching. wanting to find the answer to that question. What happens, when we actually die, when we set down our body, our clothing that we've worn for a while, and how cool it is that he knows now. And, I can only imagine, when I think about it, I can only imagine him moving through that passageway. I think of it like a birth canal. We come into this world through a birth canal, and we go out into the expanded dimension like a birth canal. I can only imagine him going through that experience, like looking around at everything and being so excited and filled with wonder. And wow, look at that, look at this, whoa! I get to relive some of my life experiences, and just that he went through it with, you said, obviously he earned a PhD in this earthly experience of his, and now he has another PhD, that he made a peaceful heavenly departure. And Romello said it was a very peaceful departure. And so, Ed, it's like his soul had just grown so much. He could no longer be contained in his human form, but it was time. It was time to discard that clothing that we wear for a time in our life experience. And in some ways, my grandfather, who was a Methodist minister, used to refer to it as like a commencement or graduation, that we all will pass through and graduate at some point. And so his soul had grown so much, he was like the caterpillar that just had to push through to become a butterfly, to experience the transformation. And we have a poem in Unity that we always read in services like this. It's called The Traveler by James Dillett Freeman. And it beautifully describes this. And it goes like this. He has put on invisibility, dear Lord, I cannot see. But this I know, although the road ascends and passes from my sight, there will be no night, that you will take him gently by the hand and lead him on along the road of life that never ends. And he will find it is not death but dawn. I do not doubt that you are there as here, and you will hold him dear. Our life did not begin with birth, it is not of the earth. But this that we call death, it is no more than the opening and closing of a door. And in your house, how many rooms there must be, beyond this one where we rest momently. Dear Lord, I thank you for the faith that frees, the love that knows it cannot lose its home, the love that looking through the shadows sees that you and I and he are ever one. And so one more story I'd like to share, and this is a true story about a man named Edward Bach who had traveled to Europe. It was really his only time to Europe at the turn of the century. And when he was in England, he became so enchanted with the very unique and special sound of an English nightingale that he just loved that. And so he bought 100 of these birds and brought them back to the United States. But because they were unaccustomed to our climate, one by one, they perished. And on the morning when he buried the last of these precious English nightingales, Mr. Bach thought he heard a very familiar song. And he looked up and he discovered that one of our native mockingbirds was perfectly mimicking the beautiful song of the English nightingale. And so I think it is with Ed that his song lives on in each and every one of us. While his voice may be silent now, his song lives on, and we have all been touched by it. The qualities of who he was have changed us, transformed us, and we carry that forward. And people that you know and meet, and family, and generations of children, and co-workers and loved ones, people who will never even hear of Ed or never met him are blessed by that song that we carry in our heart. And so now Ramella is going to lead us in this Taze response, Jesus Remember. Yeah, you can use this right here, yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Thank you. And now, I'd like to offer a prayer of thanksgiving Myrtle Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity, said something that has always stayed with me. And she said, all that another has meant to you leaves an imprint upon your soul so that you might profit by it daily. And so I'd like to invite you now, if you're comfortable, to close your eyes or just to be in an open and receptive position. And take a few moments to reflect on some of the qualities of Ed that you most admire, or the things something that touched your heart very deeply. And to know that because you could see those qualities in Ed, you have those qualities within you as well. They may very well be part of the imprint upon your soul that Ed has left, so that you may profit by it daily. And if you'd like, you might just tap your heart for a moment and say, thank you. Thank you, Ed. Thank you. At times like this, I think it's quite possible that the soul of the person we love may be present right now in this room. Or at least that it's possible that his soul can hear or sense our thoughts and prayers. And so I would invite you that if there's anything you would want to say to Ed or want him to know from your heart, to just speak that silently in your heart. Our thoughts are prayers, and it is an energy, a vibration that Ed understood, that he got it. He understood that in his lifetime. And so we close this prayer with Jesus' words. He said, "Peace I leave with you. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, but I give unto you this peace that truly surpasses all understanding." And so it is. Amen. And now I'd like to invite you to say with me, and again, this was something that Ramella brought to us, the Lord's Prayer from the New Zealand Book of Prayer. And let us say this together. The words are on the screen in your bulletin. Eternal Spirit, Earth Maker, Painter, Life Giver, Source of all that is and that shall be, Father and Mother of us all, loving God, in whom is heaven. The hallowing of your name echo throughout the universe. The way of your justice be followed by the peoples of the world. Your heavenly will be done by all created beings. Your commonwealth of peace and freedom sustain our hope and come on earth. With the bread we need for today, feed us. In the hurts we absorb from one another, forgive us. In times of temptation and test, strengthen us. From trials too great to endure, spare us. From the grip of all that is evil, free us. For you reign in the glory of the power that is love, now and forever. Amen. In the commendation, let us remember well the pilgrimage of life, that our frailties are forgiven and our sorrows redeemed. For in death as in life, we are held in the encircling arms of an eternal God. Let us give thanks for Ed, so that his kindness, his gentleness, and his goodness may call forth from us the same. For in death as in life, we are held in the encircling arms of an eternal God. Amen. And so we're going to change things around a little bit. I just want to say as a closing remarks to thank everyone who's been involved in supporting this service, our musicians, the Firework Buzzards. I want to thank Christy Stevens, our media specialist, our greeters, Karen and Betsy, and Latasha Spivey, who's downstairs preparing a wonderful meal for us, and Steve Thorne for working overtime to get this bench ready for today. We are dedicating, in fact, we're going to do it right now. I thought we'd be doing it outside, but it's easier to do it here. We have dedicated this bench to Ed O'Keefe, and it will be on our Peace Park. And so I'd like to, before we close, do this little dedication ceremony, and then we'll have a closing prayer. So the flag on that bench reads that this bench is lovingly dedicated to the memory of our beloved Edward M. O'Keefe, board president and exemplar member of our spiritual community. Ed loved the expression, the presence of God. And so it is our prayer that whoever sits on this bench, may they experience the presence of God, whatever that means to them, by whatever word they use to refer to infinite presence, love, all that is. So I just would like to invite you for a moment to imagine with me, imagine Ed sitting on that bench right now. Imagine him imbuing it with his presence and love and kindness and all the qualities we've heard about. Can you see him there now? And now let's give Ed our blessing. Those of us in unity know this. Ed, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the Christ in you. And may all who sit on this bench be blessed by the love and the light, the example and the kindness that Ed is, and is in our hearts and in the world. May we always remember that wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And the presence of God is here, and all is well. And that's on the plaque. So before you leave today, after our service is over, I just invite you to come over and touch the bench. Maybe put a hand on it or give it some energy, give it some Reiki if you'd like. Say, hey, thanks, Ed. Thanks for reminding me of the presence of God. Or, I bless this bench and all who sit on it for years to come. So now everyone, I want to see where we are in the service. We have a couple of closing songs, but I just want to say on behalf of the whole family, thank you for being here. There's a guest book there on the table. Please sign it so Ramella has a record of who's here. Ramella has asked if you would like to give a gift as memory that you give a gift to Unity of Buffalo. And so there are some envelopes on the table there outside our office. And we have a wonderful reception and luncheon downstairs. I hope everyone can join us. Our restrooms are downstairs, immediately to the right, and there's a back door, so you can go out the back or come back up front and go out the front door. But let us close with saying, the light of God, the prayer of protection, the light of God surrounds us. I am light. The love of God enfolds us. I am love. The power of God protects us. I am power. The presence of God watches over us. I am presence. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And now I want to explain one more time the significance of you all being here today and the next two songs you're going to do. That, as Ramella has told me, on Ed's 71st birthday, 70th birthday, they had a birthday celebration for him right here at our church. And the Barroom Buzzards were here for the music that day. And they, at the end of the birthday celebration, they played When the Saints Go Marching In. And everybody got up and followed the band, and they processed out the front door, walked around the building, came in the back door. Maybe we won't do that today, I don't know. But just imagine us. And Ramella said that she never saw Eddie happier in his whole life, that he grinned, he beamed, and he grinned from ear to ear, and it was just such a special moment. And she wanted to recreate that for the service here today. So we're going to have you do two songs, just A Closer Walk with Thee, and then we'll do a rousing version of When the Saints Go Marching In.
we staying here? We're walking. Are we going outside or are we just walking around? No, just in here.
No, I guess you're just gonna have us
Okay.
stay here.
Stay here.
But
From here?
Yeah.
Okay, right from here?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can get up and walk.
You guys can get up and do whatever you want.
And if you want to get up and walk around, that's fine too.
You guys want to stroll?
Anybody would like?
Yeah, let's stroll around.
Okay. All right.
What do you think?
I'm gonna walk and I'm gonna chew gum.
All right.
Just look for you in the presence of God. Please be with us all. Thank you for coming, and please join us downstairs in the Edmund Mello Friendship Hall. And thank you. That was
How you doing?